Hey everybody, a couple of weeks ago I got bored, and I thought, hey, it might be kind of fun to teach an AI how to play a video game. And so I did. This is how it happened. Part 1. The game. First, I needed a game to teach the AI. Well, hey, wouldn't you know it, I just finished an 8-part tutorial series where I created a simple side-scrolling shooter game in Unity, which you should totally check out while you're here. On top of what is in the tutorials, I added physics-based movement and a new homing enemy type to spice things up. Otherwise, as you can see, the game has simple controls and objectives. Fight your way through waves of enemies, and after about 2 minutes, fight the boss to win. Simple as that. But how do I teach the AI how to play it? Part 2. Setting up the AI. Since my game was made in Unity already, and I didn't know the first thing about machine learning yet, I decided to use Unity's ML Agent package to provide the framework for the machine learning. In order to start the machine learning process, I had to give my ML Agent some ground knowledge about my game. I let the ML Agent know how the controls work. It can move the spaceship up, down, left, or right, and it can shoot. That's all it needs to know. Next, I had to tell my ML Agent what to pay attention to in the game as it was playing. Well, that's easy enough. It should notice the bad guys, at least until they've been blown up or wandered off the screen. It should also notice enemy projectiles, which in this case, only the enemy boss can use against the player. Finally, I had to provide positive or negative reinforcements to my AI to let it know what actions it should be favoring. Think about it like the cheese at the end of the rat maze. In my case, I decided to give the ML Agent a small positive reinforcement every time it destroyed an enemy, and a large positive reinforcement every time it beat the boss and finished the game. I experimented with giving the AI a negative reinforcement every time it lost the game, but I found that was making it tend towards hiding in the corner for the entire level. There's also a set of configurable parameters that required constant tweaking and experimenting with. Once I landed on a combination that I liked, training could begin. Part 3. The training. I'm going to show these videos in 2 times motion, just so you don't have to sit through all 2 minutes of the level. As a baseline, I included a model with 0 training. As you can see, our pilot is more or less just bumbling around the level randomly until it gets taken out. At this point, the AI will never make it to the boss or really anywhere even close. You can see it's employing all kinds of bad strategies, like going way too far over to the right side of the screen and just kind of wandering around. At 6,000 steps, things really haven't improved all that much. Here we are at 7 million steps, and the strategy is starting to take shape. It is looking unsteady, but our pilot is starting to take steps to intelligently engage different targets. You can see it's still getting a little too far over to the right and putting itself in danger a little too often. From 25 million to about 35 million steps, the pilot now commandingly goes through the level, clearing out most of the baddies. He gets a little bold and gets a little far to the right of the screen, but he does a pretty good job at killing most of the bad guys. At this point, the pilot even gets to the boss more often than not, although very rarely does it actually beat the boss. However, as training went on from this point, not only was it not beating the boss, but more often than not, I was actually getting worse at beating the boss. The amount of times I beat the boss was going down and not up, which is not what we want. So that's when I tried something a little different. So here we see 50 million steps. What I did differently was I instituted a training curriculum. What this meant was for about 10 million training steps, I had the pilot fight nothing but the boss. This meant that the pilot got very good at beating the boss over the course of 10 million training steps or so. And then I was able to put all that together, the entire level back together again. So it's now the same level with 2 minutes of fighting the regular baddies and then the boss. And finally, my AI was able to, more often than not, get to the boss and defeat the boss. So conclusions. I'm no expert at machine learning. This is the first time I've tried it, and I was mostly bumbling my way through, experimenting, trying, and retrying things until I found something that worked. It's a testament to how easy to use the Unity ML Agents package is that I could even get this far. What I learned at the end of this was, 1. Training doesn't yield noticeable results until about 10 million steps or more. If it seems like your agent isn't learning, don't change your configuration until several million attempts. 2. Since we're talking about millions of training steps here, make sure you are training in parallel. I had 9 training sessions going at once, which I would leave on overnight over several days. 3. Curriculums. This concept was a lifesaver. Break your game up into smaller chunks that will be easier for your ML agent to learn, and then put it all together. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Are you a big machine learning buff? Let me know some tips and tricks you found in the comments. Goodbye.